Hey, welcome to Draft Academy. My name's Mike. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk to you about creating your first SCSS file and then converting that file into a CSS file and using it in your website. The first thing I'll do though is just talk to you about my setup. So over here I have this www folder, and in here I have this index.html file. And this is like the main HTML file on my website. And then I have this style folder. So inside this style folder, we'll put all of our CSS and our SCSS files. So this index.html file is pretty basic. It just has like a header, and there's like a main body over here and a footer, and you can see all that's over here on this website. So eventually we're gonna wanna be able to style this basic website using SCSS. So over here in my style folder, I'm just gonna create a new file. And again, we're creating an SCSS file here. So I'm just gonna type out style.scss, so we'll just call it style. And you'll see that this SCSS file gets created. Now, the cool thing about SCSS is that every single CSS file is actually a valid SCSS file. So if you already know CSS, you can just write normal CSS in here and it'll be able to be used in this SCSS file. So we could, for example, type in HTML and we'll make the color of the website red, right? So we'll change the color of all the text on the website. And what I need to do now is I need to take this SCSS file and I need to compile it down into CSS. So basically what that'll do is it'll take all of the SCSS code, it'll figure out how it's gonna map into normal CSS, and then it'll basically do that. So we'll end up with a file called style.css. So what you wanna do is open up a terminal window, and I just have one down here in my text editor. And inside of this terminal window, we wanna type in the following command. So it's gonna be SASS, so Sass -- watch. And then here you want to type the name of the folder that you want to watch for SCSS files. So in my case, the folder is just called style. So now Sass is going to watch this style folder, and any SCSS files that are inside of there, it's going to convert them down or compile them down into CSS files whenever they change. So I'm just going to run this, and you'll see now that Sass is watching for changes. And up here in our style folder, you'll notice that a few things have changed. The first thing is this .sass cache folder. You don't really have to worry about that. That's a folder that Sass is going to use. But down here we have this style.scss file, and then there's also this style.css.map file. And this is just sort of like a JSON file that has some information in it. You don't really have to worry about this too much. And then over here we have our actual CSS file. So these are the two files that we're really worried about. This SCSS file has gotten compiled down into this CSS file. And over here on my HTML, you'll see that I'm importing this style.css file into my website. So what should happen now is when I refresh my web browser over here, the text should change to be colored red. And that's exactly what happens. So it's important to note that my HTML file is importing the style.css file. It's not importing that style.scss file. So it's just using this normal CSS file. And we're relying on this Sass program down here to compile our style.scss file down into that CSS file. So if I was to make changes in here, so maybe we can give this like a background color, make it blue. All I have to do now is just save this file, and the style.css file will automatically get updated with that new information. So now I can just refresh my page and it'll update with the new styling. So that's kind of how your workflow is gonna go. You're gonna modify this SCSS file, and then this program that we're running down here in the terminal will automatically compile it, and then we can just refresh our page and the styling will take effect. So obviously here I'm just using basic CSS, but as we go throughout this course, we're gonna learn different things you can do with SCSS. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to Draft Academy to be the first to know when we release new content. Also, we're always looking to improve, so if you have any constructive criticism or questions or anything, leave a comment below. Finally, if you're enjoying Draft Academy and you want to help us grow, head over to draftacademy.com/contribute and invest in our future.